Hello, this is a new type of video that I haven't done before. So if you didn't know this about me, because I probably don't really talk about this super often, I'm a graphic designer, and I thought it'd be a fun exercise and possibly entertaining to look at some pretty iconic video game cover art and see how they are in terms of graphic design. A lot of these, this is going to be Gamecube specifically, so there's some prefacing kind of. A lot of these are older, so some techniques or some concepts of graphic design aren't really a thing back then, or just kind of weren't as prevalent. It was a lot of these are pretty early days of software, like creating in software like Illustrator and Photoshop and everything. So some of these just might be limited by I don't know, the technology at the time. Also, obviously, it's very opinionated. It's still art. There's a lot of wiggle room with this kind of stuff. But there are some kind of objective things that just don't look good. I'm just going to mention kind of stuff that I personally don't think looks good and try to explain myself. I'm not like a super professional. Like, I've been doing this for quite a few years. I'd say many years is a good word to describe it. And I also went to school for it. So yeah, I think I have a decent idea. I thought it'd be a fun exercise because I recently started doing some projects that involve cover art for video games. And I thought that'd be kind of a good idea. See what other people do, see what the most like iconic ones, these box arts are as iconic as the games almost. And that's a thing about video games that kind of gets, I don't want to say just like dismissed, but box arts are interesting. And cover art is really easily accessible through the Cover Project, which is a really cool website. They archive a bunch of games, sometimes better than others. I'm going to try to ignore any kind of like, if it's a bad scan, it's a bad scan. But we're going to do GameCube because who doesn't like the GameCube? GameCube's pretty iconic to my childhood. I think a lot of people's childhoods. So first and foremost, I have Melee. And by the way, I haven't really looked at these thoroughly. I kind of just opened a few being like, that's a good game to talk about. And I have a bunch open. So we're just going to look through them, see how they go. And I know a lot of this, also something about graphic design that's super important to remember, is this is all printed media. This is meant to be printed. This is meant to be on a cover, like a case, that you're looking at with your hands and your eyeballs, like on physical. So sometimes digitally they don't look as good, but you get a good idea. There's a few things in this that I can probably mention that might look better when they're printed, but don't look great on this one particularly. But Melee is pretty solid. I actually really like the cover. I think the cover is really cool. I think the character portraits on the side are pretty cool. They kind of got that like little embossed kind of thing going on. I'll try to like zoom in. Yeah, look. Okay, there you go. They got that kind of embossed thing going on, but they look good. They have a nice like some depth to it. The logo Melee is cool. I'm not going to get really too technical about the logos because you can make video about the logos themselves constantly, but I'm not gonna go crazy over that. But the render they used is pretty good. Let me see if I can like zoom out. Yeah, it sucks about this PDF viewer, like on Google, or is this Firefox? Whatever, Firefox. Can't really like, zoom out like individually. Whatever. Pretty cool. I think the Nintendo's Best in 4-Player Action is like a little gaudy at the bottom there. I genuinely just don't think it's needed. I know that some games cover art, sometimes they want to do like a cell factor that's in the top. That could have been something that could have easily been the thing in the back, like the initial where it says the All-Star Brawl is on. Also, let me actually fix something because I want to capture the cursor so you can see my thing moving around. Can you? Can you not? No, you can. Okay, you can see my cursor. Makes it a little easier. The All-Star Brawl is on. That could have been good for Nintendo's Best 4-Player Action, possibly. I don't know. Some of the marketing stuff I'm not the best at knowing, too. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm like, that's not good on the front, because that won't sell at all. It's like, I don't have a great idea for that, so it's okay. I trust that they did the right thing because the game sold like crazy, so I guess it's something. I guess the Nintendo's Best in 4-Player Action may have been the thing that got you to buy it. But I really like the composition of the logo with those portraits. Smash Bros is obviously longer, so making that little space, it doesn't look awkward. It actually looks pretty cool. I think like individually, it kind of looks a little awkward. Like, if you were to just pay attention, like your eyes glued to the character like portraits up there, it's like Fox and DK and like Yoshi and Zelda. I don't know. I think maybe could have worked with like Mario characters in the top and then some of the other characters, because like, well, I guess you only have a few. Yeah, I guess you only have a few for the Mario characters. If there were 4 Mario characters, that might have helped like separate that, and it kind of just looks like just some random characters. It also might be the original characters that you start with. It might be. I'm not sure about that. Actually, yeah, that actually might be, because then you got the 4 down here. Actually, that's actually, then I take that back. I think that's cool. But the back has got a lot more going on. I think the front's cool. I think this one's actually pretty good. I'm going to be probably pretty picky with some of these. Some of these work out better than others, but I do genuinely like the cover of that. The back is good. I think it just has too many images. There's a little too many screenshots. I get what they're doing. They want to like show off the content, because this game is pretty content rich. So it's like, hey, look at all this shit you can do. But for one, it makes it so the text under it is so small. That's one of those things that might look better printed, but you can tell that the text had to be condensed. Condensed versions of fonts are fine. I think they work for what they're supposed to do. But that looks like extra condensed. I don't know fonts. A lot of fonts like these are not like Microsoft default. They might be. That'd be pretty funny if we saw, a Comic Sans on one of these. But I don't know the font. But it seems like a pretty standard, sans serif font. Just like a filling in font kind of thing. But it's really hard to read. I'd have to grab the actual case to know if like it's hard to read on the case. I have most of these games. I should have done that. Too late. Maybe I'll do that for another video. But I'm sure it's still pretty hard to read. It's just a lot of text in small areas, and they need to make sure the screenshots are pretty good, are like, visible. So it's a little weird. I think it's also, I guess it's like tons of options with each. I feel like that 4th one doesn't need to be there, because it's like, you don't even really know what you're looking at. I guess they're big on the stage, but like, you don't know that without the context of the game. So it's kind of weird. The trophy thing I understand. Having the Pokemon in the fight like that is probably a pretty good screenshot. Adventure mode is probably pretty cool to highlight. And then just that top picture of all the Mario characters, that's a pretty good image. I'm glad they made that big, because that's like, look at all this. This is a huge all-out brawl of the Mario cast. That's pretty smart. And I think like saying like duke it out with Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, and the Ice Climbers. I don't know if I do the Ice Climbers. If I'm being picky on the content, I probably would have put Samus or something. I guess the Ice Climbers is supposed to be like, we even got the Ice Climbers. Can you believe it? Like we're really like digging for these guys. I shouldn't probably go into detail about that stuff, because it's like, that's just my own opinion. Otherwise, it's pretty good. I know the sky for the back of the box is supposed to be mimicking the sky in the front of the box, but it's not an extension of the art. The art does extend to the spine, which looks pretty nice. But the back isn't an extension of the art. They just kind of made like, or found like clouds and just kind of like in the cloudy sky and just put it there. So it doesn't like, it looks a little awkward. I think if they're trying to make it like the illusion of it expanding, it's more jarring when it isn't expanding, if that makes sense. Like this, I think this is supposed to be like, well, we want to make it cohesive with the front, and it's like, okay, but it's not now. I mean, it's not, because it's not the same image. I don't know how they would fix that. They probably should. It looks fine. It doesn't look that bad, but I probably would have chose like just something completely different, like something like maybe the aesthetics of the game's like menu screen for the back or something. I actually kind of am a fan when the back is very like almost like contrast the front, where it's like the front is kind of this blue sky and the back is like dark and purple and black. Would have been kind of cool. I think maybe some people don't like that as much, but I think it's kind of cool. You don't ever look at them in the same, unless you open it and like fold it out. You don't ever look at them at the same time. So, but yeah, this one's okay. I think, like I said, a little busy in the back, but that's about it. But we gotta, if I'm gonna talk about each of these for like a million years, it's gonna take a while. So let's move on. Okay, Animal Crossing. That's pretty iconic, right? It's like first glance. I think this one's actually really good, in my opinion. Just by first glance, I think this is super cohesive and cool. I'm trying. I'm trying not to be biased. I mean, I like Melee. I like Animal Crossing a lot, but like it doesn't matter. Let's just talk about it. So, Yeah, so the Animal Crossing population growing logo is cool. I think having Blathers on the top of the house is weird in terms of art. I don't know why he's there, but like it's cool because he like goes over the logo a little bit, and having that kind of like art interacting with the logo is always really cool, and it never doesn't work for the most part. It's always fucking cool as long as it's not taking up that much room. But that little detail helps this so much. The only other thing, and this, again, unless I could literally move this stuff and see how it looks, sometimes it's hard. The way that logo is getting cut off by the GameCube logo, the GameCube banner on the top, is a little weird. I'm now realizing that might be because of the player's choice. If it's because of the player's choice, then fuck player's choice. Some of these might be player's choice. I don't know, but you know, in a perfect scenario, that wouldn't be cutting into the Animal Crossing logo. I think that looks a little weird. You want to see the full logo, you know. It just feels weird to get cut off if you're like analyzing it. I never did like the population growing thing on the logo of Animal Crossing. I guess that's not neither here nor there. I don't know anyone who calls the GameCube Animal Crossing population growing, but it's technically part of the logo. I don't think it's technically the title, but like a little weird. The including memory card thing makes sense. There might be a version that doesn't have that. I don't know. But I think most of the copies of this game include the memory card. Otherwise, everything's pretty visible in terms of the art. Nothing's getting cut off. Nothing's getting like Mike Wazowski'd, where it's like getting like covered. Like the logo with the memory card is like not covering any of the characters. So it's cool. The bag is pretty nice. And this is a good example of they did a good job seamlessly transitioning the sky image. I don't know if it's an extension of the image, but the clouds seem to trail into the back. I think it could have used some clouds at the top, but that doesn't matter. That's smart. I think that's cool. That's kind of what I was talking about. If you're going to do that, at least it's cohesive, you know? It's not like the biggest deal in the world. Something very smart they do too, which I think is really cool. I don't know why, was that Booker, I think? The Butch? I don't remember his name. The dog, the police dog. He wasn't in the new game, so I don't remember. I don't know why he's there. I guess to just show a character. I think a villager would have worked better there. Or maybe like Tom Nook. I guess Tom Nook's in the back, but a villager would have been good there. Or like, I think KK Slider would have been good, really good there too. He's pretty iconic. It's really kind of random. That is the thing you're always going to be seeing on the shelf. So like Animal Crossing for GameCube is associated with that character. Also would have been cool if like every copy, not every copy, but a bunch, like there's like a chance you could get all these different characters. No company does that, but that's like always a cool idea. But I really like how the tree is in the spine. As really iconic part of Animal Crossing is its tree design. So having it in the spine is really cool. I actually never even noticed that, but it also transitions perfectly into the back, which is really cool. It looks like a slightly different shade of green. I don't know if that's like, that might be my eyes. Hold on. I don't know if that's the scan or something. It doesn't matter. Oh, you know, this is going to sound insane. You know what that might be? It might be because in somebody's shelf on their, you know, in their home, the thing that is being seen by the sun and the lights is the spine. So it maybe the scan was from a copy that had a bit of sun damage. That'd be kind of crazy. I'm probably looking too much into that. I probably sound like a crazy person. So this is cool. The back has a bunch of screenshots. They have a nice little 3D effect. It was pretty popular back then, little bevel and emboss kind of thing going on. The drop shadows. It looks pretty slick, in my opinion. I think that looks nice with screenshots. No outline, which kind of looks gaudy with that effect, so that's good. They knew that. I really like the get connected with the Game Boy Advance. I think might be a little bit more too much text, but honestly, it being separated like that is really smart when you're doing that kind of thing. It kind of gets the point across from immediately. Like when you look at it, you see get connected, you see the GameCube and Game Boy Advance. You're like, your mind kind of goes to like, okay, you can use your Game Boy Advance with this game. And if you're interested in that, you read the rest. Pretty smart, I think. Text is also a little small, but this is the amount of screenshots that I think work. And they do a really smart thing with this, where it says when the first top thing, he's talking about the real-time clock, they have this little, like, the same basically spot, but like a little circle where it shows it in winter. They don't have to waste a whole big screenshot on that. That is such a great idea. And it looks pretty nice. It doesn't look too gaudy. I think it looks kind of cool. The font is... the font... Oh my god, I just noticed that. That's so fucking funny. it looks fine for the most part, but you can kind of see there's a few points in the font where the like it gets like weird. Like on that A, you can really see it on the A below town. You see how it like spikes up like that? The reason for that is when in Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, when you add a stroke, you have to, a lot of times you have to make sure the stroke is curved. So it like the corners are curved, because if they're not, if there's a direct like spike or like corner in a letter, it'll just like create like a tail on it that like goes up like really high. If you've like messed with the stroke setting in Illustrator, you know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, when you have a font like this, they probably thought it looks so much better when it's got rough corners, like on the it's the first letter of the welcome. It looks a lot nicer when it's cornered like that. But they didn't bother to fix those? That's so strange. Maybe you couldn't back then? I think the pen tool was a thing. I mean, this was 2001. But that is like, that means they like did that and it started doing that, but they didn't fix it, or they didn't bother, which is kind of funny. I mean, it's the tiniest mistake, but that's the kind of stuff I didn't think I was going to realize I was going to notice or not. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. And the font choice for the little bubbles is nice, and I like how the characters talk about it. I think the trees at the bottom look really cool, and the way that one is overlapping, or a few are overlapping with the bottom thing is really smart. Nothing's getting in the way. It's a good cover. I like this one. It's already, again, it took me like 10 minutes to talk about each of these. It looks good. It looks really nice. This is better than Melee, in my opinion. But we're talking about Metroid Prime. Yeah. I like the cover of Metroid Prime. It's a little boring. It's kind of like, I don't know what they could have done, because I don't know what kind of like official art they have to work with. But one thing about Metroid Prime is definitely the world, and I think this doesn't really do a great job showing the world. It's just Samus in like a vague room, and like Samus is cool, but I don't know. I think an action pose could have helped, and then maybe like her action pose, like her arm cannon is like slightly going over the logo or something. That could have been cool. I think the spine looks nice. I always thought the spine looked nice for some reason. I think just like the little like, you know, screw attack logo that is used for like the Metroid series, it's nice. It just like Metroid's logo is really nice too. It's very bold and cool and fits the series well. Actually, don't really like how Prime looks in its logo, but again, not talking about logos, so whatever. The back is pretty much a complete mess, and that's unfortunate. So one thing about backs, which if I closed Animal Crossing, if you compare it to Animal Crossing, there were like two fonts in Animal Crossing. There was like the header and then the body, and I think everything was consistent. Maybe that Game Boy like spot had a different font. This one has too many. So for one, you have the evil waits below the surface, which also is a weird line. I guess that was not how I describe Metroid. That's not how that would not be like the thing I would use to describe this game. For one, that font is the same as the body of that part, which looks weird as hell, because that's a header font. You don't want to use that for a body because it's supposed to be meant for a header. Like, you're reading basically that entire line in like caps. Like, that looks weird. Like, I get like waits below the surface. You can read in like caps because it's kind of like supposed to be suspenseful or something. But the rest is like, I don't know. Like, why would you use that kind of font for the? And then it's only that. Like, you have the screenshots, which I'll get to in a second. It's just, and then you have the font under it, which looks fine. I guess it's like a standard font. It's like not great in terms of like placement. It's pretty like all over the place. Like, you have the font, and I get they're trying to like take up space, but I think the screenshots could have been bigger. I think the font could have taken up more, being more clever with how it's taking up the room on it. And I think the fonts are inconsistent in sizing. Am I crazy? That, again, that could easily be something with your eyes. That's a classic thing that like your eyes trick you all the time when you're doing graphic design. Like, you'll think something's smaller than something else just because the design itself is just confusing. This is definitely all over the place. I do not like the border around the screenshots. It doesn't even remind me of Metroid. Like, they didn't bother putting any kind of like kind of effect on it, or any kind of like, you know, bevel and emboss, or some kind of like 3D effect or a metallic effect. It's like literally just white, like grayish white. I don't know if this is the scan. This is not a great scan, but that doesn't excuse the rest of it. Also, so yeah, the font is different than the orange. Also, the orange doesn't look good with the background that's primarily orange. It looks weird. If you like, a good way to determine if like a font works or not, if you squint your eyes, if it kind of gets lost, it doesn't have to be legible if you squint your eyes, obviously, but if it gets lost in it, then it probably shouldn't work. I think it could have been white. I think the evil waits below is also really small. Again, they could have just condensed everything. The shot of Samus in the middle is kind of cool, but I don't think that has to be a circle. It just looks really awkward. I think it's also might be trying to be the scanning things, like the scanning things from the games. I don't know. It's a mess. There's like this weird vacant area on the top right. I'm like pointing to the screen, but I should use my fucking cursor. Like right here. It's kind of this weird vacant area right here. I don't know. I guess they couldn't fill it. And then the links to Metroid Fusion for Game Boy Advance is like kind of awkward down there. It could be top left a little bit. Just kind of awkwardly placed. Again, these also they usually are given the Japanese cover arts as reference, and sometimes a graphic designer would use that to figure out how to make theirs. Not like, I don't think many companies are like, you gotta make it look like the Japanese version, like that. No one cares. But you know, maybe they were trying to replicate with the Japanese version. I don't have the Japanese version, so I have no idea. That'd be an interesting video too. The Japanese. I wonder how the difference between Japanese graphic design, I don't know if that even makes a huge difference, like, you know, consistencies or anything, but. So I want to cut in for a second because I did some research while I was editing this. Turns out the original GameCube version, the US version, they had different languages on the back, which is pretty common. I don't think any of the other GameCube games do this, but it's pretty common, and this looks way better in terms of spacing and taking up space in the back because it was two languages. So I guess at some point they changed the cover art and they just had English, but they didn't bother really making significant changes. Okay, I don't know if that's an excuse or not, but it explains something, that's for sure. It's pretty bad. It's weird how, you know, iconic it is. At least the front cover is. I don't really know many. The back of that game is not super iconic, but yeah, pretty lame for Metroid. Oh man, I forgot some of these. I'm just like, are so iconic. Okay, so Super Mario Sunshine is so fucking iconic with its cover. I mean, that pose with the gun, you know the one. So I love Mario Sunshine's logo. I'll just like give my like little opinion on the logo. Just like, I like it or I don't like it. I think it's cool. I think that logo's fucking sick. So the player's choice thing also could be, you know, messing with some stuff spacing wise. I like it somewhat. I think it's cool. I think it's very 2000s. Very fucking 2000s. The shine sprite behind Mario looks cool. Flood with that pose specifically, it's just a good placement. Flood's kind of like covering one of the little circle things, but it looks kind of nice. It comes together decently. I think maybe Mario could have been... I think he has a drop shadow. Could have had a little bit more of a drop shadow behind the shine sprite. Actually, I'm looking at the one near his hat, his brim of his hat right there. He kind of does. Yeah, I think it's probably the best they could have done, honestly. But it looks pretty good. Everything else gets a little messy. The impact font thing that goes around them that says has more moves than ever. You'll them wrinkle water in the sunshine. Obviously, I think this logo was the same one used in the Japanese version of the game. So maybe that wasn't a priority, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe this was just, I don't know. I think sprinkle water in the sunshine is kind of a weird sentence that sounds like something like Japanese, like kind of not great with English, would have came up with as just like a thing about the game. This could have been a good way, like, has more moves than ever. That's cool. It'd be hard to do anything else. I think you'll have something. Who fucking knows what it says? I think that's fine because it's like, oh, it says something there. But that last part could have been used for another, like explore new world, explore an island or something. If they were gonna do that, if they were committed to it. I think it looks terrible anyway. I mean, terrible, but looks pretty bad. It looks kind of gaudy and stupid. A font like that doesn't necessarily really work as like an element of like design. Like it kind of does, but not really. If you were to squint your eyes and you see this as just the design, it almost looks like just like a pattern. Like, it doesn't really look like a text. But then when you like take a peek, you're like, oh wait, no, that's very clearly text. And it doesn't look great. Also, the manga like line thing going on, I don't love that either. I don't really think it's needed. I think it's like a pretty slick design with the white as the background, but I think it literally just could have been white, or like white with like maybe a very, very faint like cloud effect or something. And behind the shine sprite is like a water effect, and I think it looks okay. There's like a puddle thing going on the top left of that. Again, I'm pointing to the screen. I don't know why I'm doing that. It looks okay. It's cool. It's a cool, pretty iconic thing. I don't think the manga lines need to be there, and the thing around the fucking ring thing, I don't know about that. But otherwise, it's pretty cool. Also, why are the lines going through the ESRB rating? I never noticed that. Is that allowed? I think the ESRB rating has to be like completely unobscured. I mean, maybe. I mean, like, maybe they got away with it because they're fucking Mario. So they were like, we're not setting another draft. And ESRB is like, okay, well, we can't do much about that. It's also going over the drop shadow that's being created by the Gamecube logo with the Gamecube banner, which also isn't really right because it's technically supposed to be an element that's above the artwork. Same with the ESRB. So it kind of gets weird. Also doesn't make for a good spine, in my opinion. It just, the manga lines make it look kind of weird. Like, if you looked at that, you wouldn't even know it's Mario Sunshine based on just the spine. That would have been good to have that rainbow effect that's under Sunshine. That would have been fucking cool to have that over the spine logo, and then maybe have like a palm tree in the corner or something coming out, or at the bottom, like the Animal Crossing one. Having the palm tree there would have been pretty cool. Would have been a little bit more like recognizably Mario Sunshine rather than what the hell is going on here. I get like they can't really put that whole logo with, so they just have the font, but pretty lazy in my opinion in that regard. So then we have the back, which is fine. I think the back's okay. There actually isn't much to say about this one. It's kind of like the Animal Crossing one, but yeah, it's not bad. The header thing, see, this font works better as like header text, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, header body, the body of the main header. I think that can work like that. It can work as a header and it can work this body, but then the main text under the things, it looks really nice juxtaposed to the background, which is a nice Gaussian blur of thing, which always works as backgrounds. And Mario's in a good pose. I like the text wrapping around him. It's covering that screenshot, but it's just covering it enough where it doesn't take anything away. I can't remember. I remember there was like some piece of promotional thing that I remember that used like beta screenshots of Mario Sunshine, but this one doesn't look like it does. So I remember noticing that when I was a kid. The Piantas are pretty cool, like look nice there. They could have been a little bit bigger if I'm like being super picky, but otherwise looks pretty good. Pretty simple, but it works well. I don't have a ton to say about that beyond that. Oh man, F-Zero GX. I didn't grow up with this game, so this is totally, basically new to me. Let's see. This one's more interesting. The effect behind the characters is interesting. Again, I don't know the game. This is tough because I don't know the game, so I don't know how well it fits. It looks really gaudy to me, and it looks like a little over the top. It looks almost like psychedelic, which I don't think F-Zero is really trying to go for. I really like Captain Falcon being on the top here and in his car. so you get Captain Falcon in his car at the bottom, which is cool. And the glow around all the characters looks pretty gaudy, but was back then. They always did that for the most part. It was just like an easy effect. It's just really, really opaque. And I get they probably would have blended in with the background, but you use a different background. That's how you usually do that kind of thing. They must have been really dead set on that purple and orange gross, that like green to yellow to, it's not even really a rainbow color because it kind of goes dark in one spot. It's literally just like some kind of, they obviously just were messing with like gradients in Photoshop and they were like, look at that one looks cool. GX logo looks pretty cool though. I like the like rushing car effect behind GX or inside GX. The glow on it ruins it though, in my opinion. It's really gross looking. And they even put the glow on the spine. It's fine, but you know, this is one of those examples of something bleeding to the spine that doesn't really make any sense. Because if you're looking at just the spine, all you're going to be seeing is like the corner of that car, which is like nothing. So it's like, why did it even bleed into the spine at all? Probably didn't need to. I guess it works if the rest of the art is bleeding to the spine, but I actually can't really tell. The weird circly background thing seems to get like cut off there. It just looks awkward. I don't love it. I like the art. Obviously, it's cool. But yeah, the rest is kind of weird. Let's see. And then the back, the future of racing, and has a lot going on. It uses, I'm pretty sure that's Impact font, which is fine, I guess. It's just pretty like I hate when you know the font. Probably shouldn't do that sometimes. I guess like as a graphic designer, it's like obviously I know a lot of fonts, and like Impact's pretty iconic now because of like memes and shit, but like it wasn't always, so I can't really blame them for that. Future racing, yeah, I like the screenshot with the car ejecting from this. Is that a screenshot? Probably not, but I like that, how it's like coming out of the screenshot. It's pretty, or whatever, the screenshot, I guess, is that a screenshot? I have no idea. It probably is a screenshot, and they just put that official, I think it's the same art as the one on the cover art. And they even reversed the number to make sure it doesn't, no, it just might be tilted the other way. Never mind. I thought they like flipped it, but then made sure that I thought they flipped it, but made sure the 07 is still like prevalent. 30 pilots, 20 courses, 1 champion. Pretty normal thing. This one looks okay. I wouldn't normally, like, obviously now it's harder to justify using a font that's so like associated with like, not even that's associated with meme culture. It's just really like used a lot and just kind of a cheap font. And it's the best way to describe it. The dots on those 2 things under the main header are a little close to that screenshot. I'd probably make the font maybe a tiny bit smaller, or honestly just like you could just remove those like indication like dots. I think having the dot on under the links to F0AX is pointless because there's only one thing there. So you don't need that. I think that's a little weird. The rest is fine. I think everything could have gotten moved up a little bit. I think that future of the racing could have got moved up. The screenshot with Captain Falcon and the thing could have got moved up. That would have left a little bit more room where you could move the 30 pilots, 20 courses, 1 champion up, and then up, then move the screenshots even up a tiny bit. Probably just would have looked a little bit more cohesive. You're running that's because I understand that a scan that's cropped, you might not see the full left side, but if this is just literally a scan of it laid out, that screenshot on the right is hugging real close to that spine, and you don't like to see that either. Either way, it's okay. It's like mid. Oh, Pikmin. Pikmin's pretty iconic. Pikmin's cover is awesome. I never noticed that. Pikmin's logo is really good, by the way. I love Pikmin's logo. It's like cute and pretty and like fun and like quirky and cool, and having the Pikmin interact with the logo is really cute. And I don't know if that's like in the official logo or if it's just in the in this, but it's really nice. And just having this nice render, like you have renders made for games just for promotional material, and I don't think a lot of people realize how if it's a good render, it can be your cover art. It's good enough. It is good art. It's just cute, fun little thing about the game. I like it a lot. I think that's really, not much to say, but I think that's what makes it good. It's just iconic and cute and fun, and it fits the game really well. I really like it. The back is a little more going on. Oh, let's talk about that spine though. That spine's awesome. This is just like, again, the little things that you just add to make something pop a little bit more. Just put a little graphic of Olimar. I think it actually could have been even cuter if they put Olimar and some of the Pikmin in front of the logo, and then even had more Pikmin lining up past the logo. Maybe they tried that and it looked there was a little too much going on, but I think that would be really cute. Looks like it's a little uneven when it's just like space blank, then Pikmin, then the thing. But I like it regardless. Again, adding stuff like that to the spine, it's never a bad idea because the spine is like, you'll see that on your shelf. It's cute. My name is Captain Olimar is in probably one of the ugliest fonts I've ever seen in my life. It's up there. It's funny almost at this point. It's kind of charming, but it's bad. It's funny bad. not what I would do now. I don't think anyone would do that now, but it's like they were obviously new digital artists being like, holy shit, that font's crazy, like let's use it, or like that's a silly font. I like the art of Olimar lifting up the Pikmin. I think that works. They added quite the amount of glow. They added so much glow behind it that the font that's next to it couldn't be white because it would get lost in that glow. So they made it black, unlike the rest, which looks kind of weird when you're like really analyzing it. It's like, oh, why is that one black? And then you realize, oh, it's because of the glow. Why'd they have the glow? I don't actually know why they had the glow. I guess maybe some stuff would... But the glow isn't even around... Well, there's a little bit of a glow. But the glow isn't even really around the grass part, which is the part that I thought would get lost. I'm kind of surprised because I think it would look fine without it. I don't have the art on hand, so I wouldn't know for sure, and I don't really know what's going on in that. It looks like it's just a blurred image of grass. Like, just, it's really hard to tell, but I think it's just a really blurred image of grass. So, I think it would have worked. I don't know. That seems a little pointless. The screenshots look cool. Again, the bevel and embossed screenshots look very 2000s, but they work. The drop shot is a little dark though. I probably would have made that lighter if I was doing this. Otherwise, it looks fine. Font's consistent. Nothing else really to it. It's pretty iconic and like simple because I think it's an early GameCube game, so it makes sense. Yeah, I got a lot to go through. I think I might have to split this into parts. I didn't realize I was going to be talking about these for so long. What's next? Oh, I know where to stop this video, though. I got one to stop this video on, so we'll do this one next. We'll make 2 parts of the GameCube shit. WarioWare Mega Party Games with the money sign as the S. It's actually pretty cute. I like the cover art a lot. 2D art is like an easy way for me to like it, regardless. Like, I will like it. Like, if it's the 2D art from the game. This game has like pretty iconic 2D art, so it's got to be like that. But you know, any game that, even in a 3D game, if you use 2D art for it, it always looks nice. This is cool. It is very consistent within the cover, and showing all the characters, but very organized and nice. Really just a good ass cover. Logo's cool. Logo's actually really cool. I never really realized how good that logo is until just looking at it, especially because like a name of a game with a comma and a period is tough, I could imagine, but it looks nice. Mega Party Games. The party is not how I'd picture Wario's like party looking like, but it works. It's kind of cute. Like, it does look nice. The effects around party probably are a little too much. I think they could have gone without having that, but it looks fine. I think the gradient is also a little gaudy on it, and it's also like, that's like the default gradient in Photoshop, which is fine. I think it works because it contrasts with the background of the blue and stuff. And the blue has a gradient too, which also looks pretty good. It contrasts with the blue, so it looks fine for the most part. I think the S with the money sign is also fine. I don't actually know if that's part of the logo though, so I can't really like. But either way, I don't think it looks bad. It's a little much. It depends on who you are. And look at that. Look at the spine. It's got Wario there. That's cool. And he's peeking over the GameCube thing. That's cute and really in character and fun. That's a good spine. That's a good spine. Simple. Again, it's very simple. And also the background, the dotted background, very easy way to just look nice, you know. This game kind of has this sort of like, how to describe it, more, I guess, graphic design focused. I don't know how to describe it exactly. Just a more cohesive design. So the background, like looking like that, works really well. I really like Wario peeking at the top. That looks really nice. And again, just kind of fits the silliness. Wario saying the text is really cute and fun, and it's all one font. It's all one font. That's cool, and it works for the most part. The money sign is funny. You see the money sign in games there? Because that's obviously part of the name of the game. They couldn't just, if the game is literally called like Micro Games with a money sign in the logo, they obviously like had to make that its like actual name. So when you're talking about it in the back, they can't just have the S there because it's not technically its name, I guess. The only reason I say that is because who in the right mind would still have that if the font you use doesn't have that symbol? Because that is not the same font for that specific money sign, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So they should have either literally made it like, which is a lot of work for just the body of like a, you know, a paragraph on the back of your box. I understand that, but it looks weird. Or just use an S and just use an S. Really use the S. Put an I. Just stick an I through it. It probably would have just looked like a money sign in this font style. It's funny. It just looks, I just like noticing stuff like that. It's like one of those things you'll run into in graphic design. You're using a font and then you realize a symbol you need, it's not in that font book, so you have to be like, oh, you have to find a font that looks like that. They did a bad job if they did that. I also think the spacing is a little too much, but after, for the little points, I think the spacing is a little too much because it gets pretty close to the bottom there. I think it just could have been moved up a tiny bit. But the design of the little box thing, like the little box thing. Oh, the fuck! I'm realizing there's a little bit of light blue there. I don't know if that's just an artifact or something. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm not gonna be like, but they didn't line it up perfectly. Who cares? It looks nice. It does look cool, and it's funny. It's cute, and having all the little micro games and tiny little screenshots all around it works really well. Because they are micro games. It works. That's a pretty good one. Okay, so this is the last one I'll talk about for this video because it's a pretty iconic game. Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. This is a pretty shitty scan, so I'll give this the grain of salt. I'll also try to be unbiased. Obviously, I really like this game. Its cover is pretty fucking good, though. It's just, like, consistent and good. It's pretty simple, I will say. The logo for Paper Mario is awesome. I like it. It's just, it looks like a Mario logo, but it's got that tiny bit of, like, the paper outline, which makes it look... The first Paper Mario is a little bit more gaudy in terms of just, like, being all on a piece of paper. I think having the individual letters kind of almost resemble of some kind of paper craft. Not really. Like, it's still, like, a logo. It's not too distracted by it. It's good. And the Thousand Year Door being on like 4 separate sort of paper looking sheets of paper, not really supposed to technically just be that. It's just kind of like the indication of it while not like being distractingly weird looking, you know? I think it works well. Having the art down here is cool. It's very iconic, but it's kind of weird when you think about it. I get having characters like Goombella and Cooper and Peach there because they're pretty like... In the beginning of the game, you see them having like Grotus, the main antagonist. It's pretty understandable. I could see having Hooktail, the red dragon here. He's also part of the beginning of the game. He's something that you'd see pretty early on. He's in a lot of the trailers and stuff. The Cortez, he's like a way late game like boss or like mid game boss kind of. Just looks weird there, in my opinion. And then Yoshi is cool because you have, oh, what was the Yoshi about? But again, you don't get Yoshi till a little later. I guess he is the third. No, Flurry's the third partner. I guess Flurry just wasn't as appealing for the front cover, huh? And I hate this bestseller thing on the front. It's not. There's like very few copies of Thousand Year Door I think actually don't have that, and like I have in real life, I own the fucking Player's Choice version, so it has that and the Player's Choice, which is just insult to injury. But that thing looks so bad. I wonder what other games have that. I think Kirby Air Ride also has that. I don't know, why would they put that there? Like, isn't that what Player's Choice is for? There's obviously copies of this game that don't have it, but like, I bought this, well, no, I did not buy this game super early on, but I remember renting this game, or like, I remember always kind of being there. I don't know when they started putting it on there, but... looks bad. And then you got a screenshot of the map for the background. This scan sucks ass. Whoever scanned this needs to get a new scanner. But it's very brown, the cover of this box art. And I kind of like that. It kind of gives it this sort of like rustic kind of like adventure-y feel. Works with the game really well. Does not feel like Mario. Which is good because I think this game is very different than Mario, and you see Mario right in the fucking front. He's right there, so it's not like you don't know it's not Mario, but it works to like differentiate itself. Spine looks fine. I don't think there's anything going on. The logo is big enough to like not have to worry about anything else with the spine, so I think it's nice. That's one of those things I'm not bothered that there isn't a graphic there because it's not like tiny little text like Super Mario Sunshine's, you know, it's like the entire logo. The back is also pretty good. What sleeps behind the door? Is that the same font? They've used that font before. I don't remember what game used that font. There was another game on here. I closed the tabs when I went to the next one, so I didn't see that. I really like the curtain surrounding the back. Looks really slick, really cool. I don't know if it's stretched or anything, but it still looks nice. Like, even if it is stretched, I can't even complain. It still looks cool. I think it is stretched because you can tell with that screenshot. It's actually not a great screenshot to have there because you can compare it. So they just kind of like compressed it down. It doesn't look that bad, but now that I'm kind of paying attention to it more, it's like you couldn't just like have edited the image a little bit, like you know, you could just like cut it right down the middle, or just cut some of these sections out. It's pretty like even, so could have done a little bit better, but that's okay. I didn't notice it until now, so I guess that says something about it. The what sleeps behind the door thing is nice. It has the like kind of this old scroll look to it. It's actually a pretty nice graphic. I don't know where that old scroll comes from. Like from Wind Waker or something. I wonder if it's like from Thousand Year Door or not. It doesn't really look like it. It's not really like Thousand Year Door's art style. It might literally be an asset from Wind Waker. That could easily be something they did, which would be funny. The fonts are all consistent. There are literally it is the same font as the header, so it is one font, which is always nice to see. Choosing a font that works as the header and the body is nice, because then you don't have inconsistencies, and it just all comes together well, in my opinion. That's the best case scenario. Sometimes fonts don't work well as a header or a body, and that's okay too. If you're like interested in doing that, but just more than 2 fonts for the back, unless you got like a section that's like doing something different, that's a bad idea, and just kind of like a last resort thing if it really doesn't work out. But yeah, the character art's cool. I think Cubella's kind of small though. I don't know why she's so small there, because they didn't care if Flurry was too big. She's literally like hugging right up against that text, which is fine. It looks fine. I think maybe putting all those characters next to each other and then making the text wrap around them probably would have been a better idea. I think just in general, Goombella's a little too small. I think they could have made her bigger. And the rest of the screenshots also look pretty good. The screenshots also have, I didn't realize this because I was looking at the screenshot of Hooktail and I thought that was just like the beginning of the fight or something. So you see the curtain, but no, that's literally over every screenshot, which is also subtle enough where I didn't notice it until now. So it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good, I think. And this also has a like image of the map in the background, which actually doesn't look too bad. I think the back cover is just like this tannish brown color. Again, the scan is horrendous. So it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And then the map is very opaque, not opaque, very transparent in the background. It looks nice. It actually comes together pretty nice. I think really what helps is the fonts and the use of the fonts and everything. Everything's big and easy to read. Not too many screenshots. I think 4 is a pretty good number, but with 1 being bigger. It's safe, but it's nice. It's iconic and works well. It's a good cover. Again, there are little things, but other than that, it looks pretty good. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. I didn't realize how long I could talk about these, but it's fun. Maybe I'll do more. I have a lot of GameCube games still open, so maybe I'll do another GameCube part. But yeah, I hope this was entertaining. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.